Hey Linda, it's week number two, and it's time for me to do the critiques. And here we are, and I'm looking at what um, I think it's a chess set. I think so. Made from they call it soapstone or something like that. Um, in any event, here's the thing. Here's what I consider to be the biggest problem you have here. First of all, let me point something out to you in Photoshop. In the image area here, you have what's called auto color. I'm going to put it on this image, just hit auto color, and you're going to watch this image change just like that. It's a little too much magenta, so the auto color readjusted the color balance and made it a little bit more lively. Um, anyway, I think this is a chess set. I can't tell you for sure. You're obviously putting the emphasis on a singular piece, and that's fine. I'm all for it. But the problem I have with it is too close to the edge, this particular piece. If this were over just a touch and also brought closer to the lens, then this area back here, well, two things will happen. It'll become a little bit more out of focus, and it will allow this one piece also to be more pronounced in terms of its inclusion, because so close to the edge like this, it begs the question of why are we having to be right on the edge? Why can't we come inside and be really a big part of the party, so to speak? The room is obviously not that crowded. You want to put all the focus on me, but you're putting it on in a way that suggests I'm not invited or I'm about to leave, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. So compositionally, this just has to come over on the right side. This one here, I have no idea what I'm looking at. This looks bloody. And it may be blood. It may be fish scales. I really don't know. I really and truly don't know. It's an intriguing composition for sure, but it actually raises more questions than it answers. And questions by that, what? And I'm not suggesting a photograph shouldn't ask questions, especially if an abstract, but it's asking questions not in a favorable way, but and what I mean by not favorable, it's not like going, oh wow, that is really amazing. Oh, I want to know what it is. It's more like, ooh, what is this? Is it blood? And if it is, what kind of death has taken place? And oh God, is it a fish? Again, and some people would be really turned off by fish or fish scales. And again, I don't even know if it is, but just because it's fish is not a popular food item, despite what we might believe. And then people associate fish with a smell, and they're like, oh, it's a bloody smelling fish. I don't know if it is or not. You know, um, and I don't recall having a caption on the photo that when you posted it. And if you did, my apologies. It went right over the top of my head. Anyway, one suggestion I'm going to make for this, even though it's not going to make that big of a difference, is to flip it. And that way we have more of the red here as a bottom base. And it does make a bit of a difference, in my opinion. But the real problem here is one, it's not in focus all the way through. And that's ultimately what's hurting you here. And in my opinion, if this was in focus, this could have been a really stunning abstract of even if it's fish blood or again, I have no idea what it is. For some reason, I'm thinking scales and fish blood, but you can correct me and tell me what it is that it is. Be my guest. All right. You're obviously what I call a prize winner would be this one here. This is a very random, chaotic scene of lines, and yet you had the common sense and the wherewithal to do a classic one-third going both directions with only one in focus. Your 2 out of 3 doing selective focus, which of course is what you did with the chess piece and then the screw, is also symbolic in terms of an inner psyche with yourself, where you clearly want to make certain that this becomes an individual statement, as opposed to a whole bunch of screws or a whole bunch of chess pieces. It's like, no, this is just about one thing. And which I'm making a reach here, but that's symbolic from a psychological standpoint of one who was raised in a large family. In other words, you have more than one brother or one sister. 3 or more is what the criteria is for a shot like this. Didn't know you're going to get a psychological evaluation. But I'm a big believer that we photograph what we are psychologically. And these kinds of compositions, especially when you see 2 out of 3 in a given week, usually speak to the individual who was raised in a large family. So there you go. Now, if you're going to tell me you're an only child, that's the other solution or the other answer, because these are also all about being an only child. When I say a big family, I mean we're talking 4 or 5 people, kids in the family, even more than 3, or you're an only child. So it's like I'm going to be right on 2 out of 3 of those. Now, if you tell me there's only 2 kids in the family, then man, this psychological test I just gave is way off the mark. Anyway, this is nice. It's definitely compelling. That's the word I'm looking for. So let me get back to me on the fish, Linda. I'm anxious to know. Just pop me a little comment in the section and put my mind at rest. That's what it is, and that it's not something else going on in some basement laboratory. All right, hey, until next week, you keep shooting.